In this video, we will begin to set up our project for Angular 2. I have added the code for this simple Angular project that I have created for this course. It is a simple search engine that uses the YouTube Data API to search videos. Before you can use this app, you will need to create an API key with Google. As long as you have a Google account, go to https://console.developers.google.com. Once here, click on the YouTube Data API, and then click on Enable. Mine says Disable because mine, of course, is already enabled. After that, click on Credentials, and then Create Credentials, API Key, and Browser Key. After that, copy your API key. Then navigate inside of the Project folder and then into the App folder, and the Services folder, and then the tube.service.js file. Go ahead and paste your API key into the API key variable in this service. After that, make sure you have Node.js installed on your system, and then once you have that, you can navigate to your project folder and run npm install. This will install all of the packages that we need for this app to the Node modules folder. After that, we can run npm start. This will execute the light web server and preview our app. If we type something in the search bar, some videos should be returned. Now we want to upgrade this app to Angular 2. Before we can write any code, we need to set up our app to use Angular 2. The first thing we will do is set up our package.json file with the packages we need to install for Angular 2. You will find this file in the root of your project folder. First, we will add to our scripts. We can run any of these scripts by using npm followed by the name of the script. As you can see, the start script runs the light server, which we started with npm start. First, we are going to add the tsc script. This script will run the Typescript compiler. Next, we have added tsc:\w, which will run the Typescript compiler in watch mode. Every time there's a change saved, the Typescript will be compiled. This is the mode we normally use the compiler in. Then we will change the light server start script to light, as we will use a different script for our start script. Here we are using concurrently to run two scripts when we do npm start. We will have our Typescript compiler watching our code while the light server runs as well. In this way, as we make changes, they will be reflected in our preview. As we work on our project, we will be using the start script most of the time. Next, we can add our dependencies. First, we have added Angular 2 and System.js. System.js is the module loader we will use with our app. Then we add ES6 Promise, which System.js uses, and ES6 Shim, which provides ES6 functionality in standard JavaScript. Then we add Reflect Metadata, RxJS, and Zone.js. RxJS works with the HTTP client, and Zone.js is how we handle change detection in Angular 2. Another thing about these dependencies is that you may notice Angular 1 in there as well as Angular UI Router. We could remove them from here if we like, but we still need to manually remove them from our app by running npm uninstall with the package name in our project folder. This will remove the package from our Node modules folder, but it is not necessary at this time. Finally, we will add our dev dependencies, which we will only need as our project is in development. Here we have concurrently, which will handle our start script, which runs both the Typescript compiler and the light server. Next, we will create a file called tsconfig.json in the root of our project folder. Now, this file controls how the Typescript compiler will handle our Typescript files. These settings are important so that Angular 2 functions properly. First, we have our target, which is ES5 or standard JavaScript. This determines what version of JavaScript the resulting code is in. Then the module is set to system, module resolution is set to node, source map is set to true, emit decorator metadata is set to true, experimental decorator set to true, remove comment set to false, and no implicit any set to false. Now, I won't go in depth with these settings, and if you really wonder what they do, you can check out the Getting Started with Angular 2 course available on Tuts Plus. Just understand that we need these settings to make Angular 2 work properly. Then lastly, in the exclude block, we have the node modules. This makes sure that the Typescript compiler does not try to compile the Typescript files in our node modules folder. Once we have all of that configured, we can save our work and run npm install in our project folder again. This will install the packages that we have added to our package.json into our node modules folder. Once we have installed our packages, we can go to our index.html file. Then we will add the scripts for the packages we just installed. First, we can remove the references to the original Angular files if we like. Then we will add our system polyfills. Then we add our Angular 2 polyfills, then ES6 shim, and then system.js itself, then RxJS, the Angular 2 HTTP service, the Angular 2 router, and then finally Angular 2 itself. Take note that all of these packages are installed in the Node Modules folder. Next, we will add a base href in the head of our document for the Angular router. Now you may have noticed that we have not called any custom scripts that we have created. That is because system.js will handle loading them. We will just register our scripts here, as well as just load the initial script that is going to start our app. This will register our app folder, which holds our JavaScript files. After that, we will load app.module, which will bootstrap our app. Then we need to cut all of the HTML inside of the nav tags and create a file in the search bar folder called search.html. Then paste the HTML into this file. Then back in the index.html file, we can remove the container fluid div, as this will be part of the home component. The last thing we need to do in this file is replace the UI view with the selector MyApp. While UI view was the placeholder for UI router's views, MyApp is the selector that our base component will use. This base component will host all of the other components that we add. That's everything you need to configure your app to move it to Angular 2. In the next video, we will bootstrap our app and set up our home component.